Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Art is the reshaping of reality by man to present it in an understandable way. As the artist recreates the world around him, it is shaped by how he sees it and what he believes in. The Indian artist did not attempt to depict only the material reality around him. He wished to share the complete experience of the moment, not just the photographic presentation of the shapes around him. Beauty for the Indian artist has been a reflection of the glory of God. In fact, for the ancient artist, the experience of beauty, the ecstasy on seeing nature or art which is truly beautiful, has been considered as akin to Brahmanand or the final bliss. Join us on this journey into the heart of the Indian tradition of painting. Come with us to the gorge of the Vaghora river, where Ajanta was created, to the courts of the Mughals and the Deccani Sultans. Journey with us through the deserts of Rajasthan and the icy lands of Ladakh and Lahore Spiti. In the verdant south and in the gentle hills of the north, experience the compassionate view of life that is enshrined in Indian painting.
The greatest and most sublime art of painting in India flowered at Ajanta and spread from there to all parts of India. From the 2nd century BC to the 6th century AD, the walls of the caves of Ajanta were painted by guilds of painters. The themes were Buddhist, the patrons were Hindu kings, and the painters belonged to guilds whose dharma or duty in life was to paint. Whether it was Buddhist caves, Hindu temples, or palaces.
There is no such thing, in my belief, as Hindu art or Buddhist art or Jaina art or even, for example, Muslim art. What we have really is a common Indian artistic tradition which overarches the country, and people from any of the religious groups, whether they are Buddhist or Jains or Hindus, employ painters and artists and architects in order to execute their works, and they do it.
The art and techniques of painting were carefully studied and put down in the Chitra Sutra of the Vishnu Dharmotra, which is the oldest known treatise on painting in the world. How to depict different themes effectively, the proportion of human figures, the use of colors to help in the communication of ideas, the fine details of movements and stances of the human body in different situations and in different moods, and so many other ideas and details to instruct the painter. These were carefully formulated to be passed on over the centuries and through guilds of painters from father to son. The purpose of this documentation was to preserve the legacy of the collective understanding of the finest minds. There are many remnants of ancient paintings found in all corners of the Indian subcontinent, belonging to practically every century of the last 1500 years and more. These display the fact of a great and unified tradition of painting in ancient India.
From the secluded gorge of Ajanta, the inspiration of the painters travelled across the country. The first millennium saw a profusion of exquisite art in all corners of India.
There are fragments of the art of the time of Ajanta which survive at sites like Pitalkhora in Maharashtra. In these we see the fine fusion of the heart and mind and the unbroken tradition of noble themes painted by hands of individual inspiration. 9 caves were excavated on the slopes of the Vindhya hills above the Bagh river during the reign of the Guptas between the 4th and 6th centuries AD. Unfortunately, the paintings have been practically lost to the ravages of time. But we do have excellent reproductions which were made by Asit Haldar and others in the early 20th century. This painting shows Nanda, the Buddha's half-brother, in paradise. As at Ajanta, the paintings of Bagh present a sense of stillness. We see all the activity of life and yet a profound sense of peace upon the faces of the painted figures. Very little of the paintings survive in the 6th century caves of Badami in Karnataka. As at Bagh, what remains evokes the magic of a world of painted splendor, when all the walls and ceilings were covered with murals. The paintings of Badami are amongst the earliest surviving in Hindu temples, just as the paintings at Ajanta and Sittanavasal are the earliest Buddhist and Jain murals. In the ancient period in India, the art of painting cut across all religious and political considerations. The painters in the guilds had their own duty, which was to depict the beauty of the Lord, which was reflected in the world around. In the meantime, in the 7th century, the Pallava kings of Tamil Nadu gave exuberant and glorious expression to themes of Lord Shiv in the temple of Pannamalai and Kailashnath in Kanchipuram. The walls of the Pradakshina Path, or the outer ambulatory of the Kailashnath temple, were once covered with paintings of brilliant colours. Traces of these are still discernible. The Pallavas were very fond of the theme of Shiv's family. Shiv is regal and yet a fond family man with his beautiful wife and child. Here we see the high quality of painting of the classical Indian style, with beautiful rendering of form and volume. An easy style, which transcends mere pictorial representation to present us a depiction of the feelings within the figures. Here in Kailashnath, we see the tenderness and grace which comes from the tradition of Ajanta. We also see an expression of the glory of great kings. There is an impressive quality in the crowns and in the painted figures, which had not been seen in the earlier gentle beings of Ajanta. The style which begins to develop here is seen to blossom later into a grand imperial style of painting under the Cholas. In the 9th century Jain caves of Sittanavasal in Tamil Nadu, we see some of the last paintings which continue the humble and gentle humanity of the Ajanta painters. The name Sittanavasal itself literally means the abode of the Siddhas, or Jain saints who have won their liberation. The Pandyan kingdom was a rich commercial center, with contacts all over the civilized world, especially with Rome. The pearls of the Pandyan fisheries were greatly in demand in Rome, and a regular colony of Romans existed at Madurai.
We are reminded that the great art of Ajanta was produced at a place which was cosmopolitan and a great center of trading. Through the pages of history, one finds the sophistication of cosmopolitan cultures resulting in the finest bodies of art in India.
The cave at Sittanavasal has a marvelous painting of a lotus pond made on the ceiling. It is a scene of the faithful gathering lotuses to place upon the resting place of a Tirthankar, a Jain saint. Elephants, buffaloes, geese and fish frolic in the waters which are overflowing with beautiful lotuses. The painter has used the occasion to present us a joyous world. He brings to us a sense of sublime happiness. As fish swim in the waters, an elephant appears to smile, and gentle men gather lotuses which are larger than themselves. It is a gracious world. The lotuses are large and shaped with tender care, reflecting the beauty and grace of the human figures. Indeed, this may be one of the most beautiful depictions of flowers in the entire realm of art. One needs a clear vision of the divinity beyond the veil of the material to present the world in such a joyous manner. The lotuses and the figures are in the world as we know it, but their expressions indicate that they respond to a different sense of harmony.
The every growing grass blade is like an icon. It has the presence of God in it. So how can I say that only an icon carries that kind of power which the grass doesn't carry?
The painting of the lotus pond is one of the miracles of man's creation in art. We are reminded of an inscription at Ajanta which proclaims, "The joy of giving filled him so much that it left no space for the feeling of pain." And indeed, here at Sittanavasal, joy fills the painting from wall to wall. There is another layer of paintings on the pillars. Here, we see a royal couple and dancers who are made with a great sense of poised movement. These Jain paintings continue the tradition of humanity and love expressed through the devotional touch of the painter. In the meantime, the magnificent Kailashnath temple had been hewn out of a mountain at Ellora in the 8th century. This monolithic temple must be one of the grandest works of man. The conception itself is staggering, that a whole mountain could be carved from top to bottom into a marvelous temple structure. The walls and ceilings of this temple were once covered with murals. Fragments of these, which remain, show the beauty and quality of the art. The tradition of painting in the Deccan is seen to flow here from the nearby caves of Ajanta. There are paintings of the late 9th century in the Jain caves at Ellora. These reflect some of the gentleness and the innocent expressions of the paintings of Ajanta. There is a fluidity and confidence in the portrayal of forms which shows us the masterly skill of the ancient Indian painter. Here, even as the chisel sounded on the stone to create the most stupendous temples out of the mountain, the painters continued the older tradition, but with contributions of their own. Besides the naturalism and grace inherited from Ajanta, the figures painted here are stylized and elongated. There are significant changes which take place here. Changes which, in later years, are reflected in paintings over the whole of India. This style, often referred to as the Western Indian style of painting, perhaps because the beginnings are seen at Ellora, is manifested in paintings in regions as diverse as Ladakh, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh.
We use the Western Indian style, but actually this was the national style of the period, spread all over India from the north to the south. And this style was to be found even outside India, most notably, for example, in the paintings at Pagan, and much of the work in Southeast Asia with its angularity and with its brisk rhythms is to be ultimately traced to this great Western Indian school. Now, this school extended all over India and not just in Western India, as its name seems to suggest.
The art of painting developed to a high degree of excellence in an unbroken tradition from the 2nd century BC to the 10th century AD. This happened in the Buddhist cave monasteries and in Hindu and Jain caves and temples. It culminated in that millennium with the Chola paintings, which are found in the inner ambulatory of the famous Brihadishwar temple in Tanjavur. The unique grace and style of painting, which developed to its highest point at Ajanta, continued through the hands of master painters and can be seen 500 years later in this great body of art.
The grand temple stands tall, reaching for the skies. The powerful King Rajaraja Chola built this majestic temple to reflect the glory and grandeur of the great Lord Shiv. The temple stands in testimony to the great wealth and power of the Chola Empire during his time. In the heart of the temple of Brihadishwar, protected by massive walls of stone, are perhaps the greatest paintings of the theme of Lord Shiv ever painted. Towards the end of the 10th century, King Rajaraja Chola expressed his devotion and also his power and grandeur by commissioning murals on a spectacular scale. These were made across the walls of the dark inner ambulatory corridor of the Brihadishwar temple. There are two layers of paintings here, one of the Nayak period of the 17th century on top, and below that the earlier Chola layer of painting. Most of the Chola paintings have been recently rediscovered. These paintings reveal to us the life and the culture of Chola times. The military visions and ideals of the Cholas, and of Rajaraja in particular, are symbolically expressed in the great masterpiece of Shiv Tripurantak on these walls. A great painting in the Brihadishwar, which shows the merits listed in the Chitra Sutra, is this depiction of the Shiv Tripurantak on a chariot driven by Brahma. A forceful Shiv as a warrior overcomes the demons. If expression is to be taken as the criterion by which a great painter has to be judged, it is here in abundance in these Chola paintings. In these paintings we see the Navras, or the 9 emotions depicted with rare sensitivity. The sentiment of heroism, Veeraras, is clearly seen in Tripurantak's face and form. The vigorous attitude of the demons determined to fight Lord Shiv, and the wailing, tear-stained faces of their women clinging to them in despair suggest Raudra, and an emotion of pity, Karuna. The colors in the paintings are soft and subdued, the lines firm and sinuous, and the expressions are true to life. More than ever before, we see the artist's lavish use of embellishments of crowns and jewelry, portraying the royal splendor of the times. In the Brihadishwar temple, we see one of the earliest royal portraits in Indian painting. King Rajaraja Chola with his guru Karuvurar. It is an idealized portrait, quite unlike the formal depictions of kings to come in later centuries. The painter in ancient India seems to have had such a deep mastery over his technical skills that his work appears effortless. There is a natural quality and grace in his work which communicates instantly what he wishes to depict. We see a perfect understanding of anatomy. The outline is strong and very sure, and there is an easy and natural depiction of volume. Most of all, there are the touches, the details, which bring the painting alive, which communicate a sense of the life in the painting. As we follow the trail which emerges from precious fragments of murals left on the walls of caves and temples, we find that there was a brilliant and sophisticated tradition which flourished throughout the country. This tradition finds expression in different artistic styles, as it was nurtured and inspired by different philosophies. The response of the artist to the world within and that around him reaches out to us despite the ravages of time. After the 10th century, the art of painting comes to prominence again during the rule of the Vijayanagar kings from the 14th century onwards. In the cosmopolitan atmosphere of Hampi and other sites, we see fine examples of mural paintings. Thereafter, in palaces and temples of Kerala, we see the tradition of painting continuing in the characteristic Kerala idiom. The paintings of Kerala are also influenced by the rich tradition of dance dramas there. The first millennium of painting in India saw a deeply unified tradition of exquisite art spread all over the country. In the centuries to come, we will see the continuation of the great style of painting, which is seen beginning at Ajanta and continuing through the grand mural tradition of South India.
Nirunadha gata shubham shuddham pratayati pritim janayatya tulamapi dukhasvapna darshanam hanti trinati griha devatam न च शून्यमिवा भाति यत्र चित्रं प्रतिष्ठितम् कलानां प्रवरं चित्रं धर्मकामार्थमोक्षदम् मङ्गल्यं परमं चैतत् गृहे प्रतिष्ठितम् यथा सुमेरुः प्रवरो नागानां यथाण्डजानां गरुडः प्रधानः यथा नराणां प्रवरः क्षितिस्तथा कालान्मीह चित्रकल्पः शास्त्रज्ञैः सुकृतैः दक्षैश्चित्रं हि मनुजाधिप श्रियमावहति क्षिप्रं लक्ष्मीं चापकर्षति निर्नेजयति चोत्कण्ठा